Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Wish Infinite. In this video of Playwright with TypeScript series, I will talk about Jenkins setup and its integration with local Playwright project. In this video, we would be discussing all the fundamentals which are necessary for doing continuous integration using Jenkins. And before proceeding further, I would like to inform you that I have created YouTube Shorts playlist for Playwright. You can watch this playlist to refresh your Playwright concepts. I will provide link of this playlist into the description, or you can go to my channel Wish Infinite, where under the playlist tab, you would be able to see this Learn Playwright in 60 Seconds Shorts playlist. And you can click onto this community tab where you would be able to see Playwright quiz. You can answer these questions which will help you to prepare for interview also. Also, I have uploaded the latest code of this Playwright tutorials with TypeScript JavaScript playlist onto my GitHub profile. You can visit my GitHub profile where you would be able to see this Playwright tutorials TypeScript JavaScript repository. I will provide link of my GitHub profile and of this repository into the description. Now coming back to our current topic, and here first question is that what is CICD? CI stands for continuous integration. It's a practice of automating the integration of code changes from multiple contributors into a project or code base. CD stands for continuous delivery or deployment. This takes it a step further by automating the delivery of the integrated code to production. And this definition is more applicable for the development projects. For the testing, mainly we would be focusing onto the CI or continuous integration. And we can understand this continuous integration for testing with the help of simple example. So whenever any of your team member making any change into your automation project, in that case, we want to execute our automation scripts automatically. And that part we would be able to do with the help of continuous integration. So we have already seen this CI using GitHub Actions into my previous video, where we saw that whenever we are making any changes into our automation code and whenever we are pushing our code or raising the PR, so in that case, GitHub Actions was automatically able to execute our automation test scripts. If you have not watched this video, I would highly recommend you to watch this video. I will provide link of this video into the description, or you can click onto this I button at top right corner to access that video. And the same thing can be done with the help of Jenkins. And apart from continuous integration, we can also schedule Jenkins job which will execute automation test suite at the specific interval. The interval can be daily, or it can be alternate days, or it can be weekly, or any other interval which you configure. At that time, your automation test suite will get executed with the help of Jenkins jobs. And Jenkins can be integrated with Playwright with two ways. First one is without using pipelines, and second one is by using pipeline, where Jenkins supports Docker agents for pipelines. And first, we would be focusing onto this Jenkins integration without using pipeline. And the second part, where we want to integrate Jenkins with Playwright by using pipeline, we would be looking into later part of this playlist. And this first way also, we would be understanding with two separate parts. In first part, we would be checking that how to integrate Jenkins with local Playwright project. And into the second part, we would be checking that how to integrate Jenkins with Playwright Git repository. And that part I would be covering into my upcoming video. And mainly in real-time projects, you would not be doing this Jenkins integration with local Playwright project. But this part is really necessary for you to understand that how Jenkins works. So if you understand this part, it would be very easy for you to understand the next part, where we would be integrating Jenkins with Playwright Git repository. And to do this Jenkins setup and integration, we need to follow some steps. I have listed down important steps here. So the first step is install prerequisites. And first prerequisite is NodeJS. And to download and install NodeJS, you can visit this official website of NodeJS. And from here, you can download the latest NodeJS LTS version. So at time of recording, I am able to see this version 20.17.0 NodeJS LTS version. And this LTS stands for long-term support. And once you download this Node.js, you would be able to see this node.msi file into your downloads. You can simply open this file, which will open this Node.js setup wizard. You can simply click onto the next and keep following the instruction by selecting the default options only. No need to select any option. And once the installation is done, you can check the installed version. So for me, the Node.js is already installed, so I'm canceling this setup wizard. But you can simply click onto the next buttons to do the installation. Once the installation is done, you can check that Node.js installed properly or not. And for that, you can open this command prompt or any of the terminal where you can give the command which is node-v, or you can give node ---- version. And once you hit enter, you would be able to see the specified installed version here. And this is just to ensure that Node.js got installed or not, and which version got installed. This step is optional. And if you are already using Playwright with TypeScript or JavaScript, so in that case, you must have installed Node.js already onto your system. To ensure, you can simply check the version onto the CMD or onto any of the terminal by giving the command which is node-v or node version, which we just used. And once we are done with Node.js installation, we can proceed further with the next prerequisite installation, which is Java. And to install the Java, you can go to this official Oracle website, and from here you can download any Java version. For now, I would be downloading this JDK 21. And why I am downloading this JDK 21, I will tell you once we will install Jenkins. So here I am clicking onto this JDK 21, and then you can select any of the system on which you are doing the Jenkins setup. So it can be Linux or macOS or Windows. For me, it is Windows. So I am clicking here. And then you can download either this .exe or .msi installer. And once you click on any of this link, the downloading will get started. And once the downloading is done, you would be able to see this JDK file. It can be either .exe or .msi, whatever you have downloaded. And to install Java, you can simply double click onto this file, which will show you the installation wizard. Here, you can simply click onto the next and just keep the default option selected, which will install Java onto your system. Once Java is installed, you would be able to see this successfully installed message. You can close it. And once Java is installed, we can check that it got installed properly or not and which version got installed. And for that, we can open CMD or any of the terminal of your choice. And then you need to give the command which is java -version. And once you hit enter, you would be able to see this Java version which you installed. And this is also a LTS version, which is for the long-term support. And if you are using Windows, so in that case, you can recheck the Java installation by going to the C drive, and inside it, there is this program files folder. And inside this folder, you would be able to see this Java folder, and inside it, you would be able to see all the Java versions which are installed onto your system. Here, for me, 2 Java versions are installed, so that's why I'm able to see these 2 folders. One is for JDK 16 and one is for JDK 21, which we just installed. And once Java is installed, we need to proceed further with the next installation, which is Jenkins. And to download and install Jenkins, you can visit this official Jenkins website, where under this download section, you would be able to see all these options. You can click onto any of these options according to your system. For me, as I'm using Windows machine, so I would be clicking here. And once we click here, it will start downloading Jenkins MSI file. And once it is downloaded, we would be able to see this file under the downloads. So here we are able to see this Jenkins MSI file. You can simply open this file to start the installation. We can also use this war file, and to use this war file, there is a separate command which we will have to give. First, let me install it using the MSI. Later, I will tell you that how you can use this Jenkins.war file. And to download this war file, you can simply go onto this page, and there you would be able to see this generic Java package.war. And for Jenkins also, we are installing this LTS version only. So for me, currently I'm able to see this 2.462.2, but in future, this version can change. For now, I will use this Jenkins.msi file to install Jenkins. So here, open this file, and then you would be able to see this Jenkins setup wizard. Here, we can click onto the next. Here also, we can keep this option as by default only, which we are getting, which is C drive. And inside program files, we are able to see this Jenkins folder where it will get installed. Then click onto the next. And here it will give you two options. And for now, you can select this run service as local system, which will not ask you for any of the account and password details. So select this login type and then click onto the next. And here you can select the port number on which port you want to host Jenkins. And by default, we are getting this port number as 8080. So we will keep it same only. You can click onto this test port to check. And once you are able to see this green tick, you can proceed further by clicking onto the next. And here, after clicking onto the next, it will ask for us to select the specified Java version. And here, if you will see, it is saying that only Java 11, 17 and 21 are supported by Jenkins. So that's why I installed the version 21 for Java. The latest is 23, which we are able to see currently, but I went for JDK 21. So there may be the case in future, there are more versions which are supported. So accordingly, you can download the specific Java version and then you can select it here. So here I am clicking onto this change because currently this 16th version is selected. And then we can select this JDK 21, which we installed. So it is under C drive where we have this program files folder, and inside it we have Java folder, and inside it we are having this JDK 21. You can simply click on this and click on OK. So now we have selected JDK 21, which is supported by Jenkins. And again, I'm clicking on to the next. Here we need not to change anything. And then again, I'm clicking on to the next. And then I'm clicking onto this install. So simply you can follow these steps and it will start the installation. And once the installation is done, we can click onto this finish, which will complete the installation. I will provide all these links to download all the prerequisites into description. You can directly access these links. And once this Jenkins is installed, you can open your browser and open a new tab where you can go to the path, which is http://localhost:8080. And here we are able to see this getting started page where we would be unlocking the Jenkins. And here they have given that to ensure Jenkins is securely set up by administrator, a password has been written into this file, which is initial admin password, which has kept onto this location. So let me go to this location first. So you can open your Explorer and go to this location. And at this location, which is inside C drive program data Jenkins, where we have this .jenkins folder, and inside the secrets folder, we are able to see this initial admin password. You can open this initial admin password file simply onto the notepad or on any of the text editor, where you would be able to see this administrator password. For you, this password would be different. You can copy this password and then can go back to this localhost 8080. And onto this page, we can provide that password which we have just copied. So this is administrator password. And after pasting that password, I'm clicking onto this continue. And here we are able to see this customize Jenkins page where we have two options. Either we can install suggested plugins or we can select plugins to install. Here I'm selecting this install suggested plugins, but you can also use this option. So these are most useful plugins which will get installed automatically if we select this install suggested plugins. And here it is installing all those suggested plugins. Here this installation will take some time and I am fast forwarding all this installation part. And once plugin installation is done, you would be able to see this create first admin user page where you need to enter username, password, full name and email ID. And you need to remember this username and password which you are giving here, because next time whenever you visit this localhost 8080 to access Jenkins, you will have to enter this username and password to log in. So here I'm giving username as admin and password also I'm giving as admin. But you can give any username and any password of your choice. I'm confirming the same password. Here I'm providing full name as Wish Infinite. And here I'm giving valid email address. And once you provide all these details, you can click onto this save and continue. And again, I'm reminding you to remember this username and password. You can note down this username and password for your further uses. So here I'm clicking onto this save and continue. Here I've kept the same username and password. That's why I'm getting this warning. I'm clicking onto OK, but you can keep any secure password. And here it is showing us the Jenkins URL, which we can change, but I'm keeping it as the default and then clicking onto save and finish. And here we can click onto this start using Jenkins. And after that, you would be able to see this welcome page. Let me log out and log in again with the new username and password just to show you that we need to use the same username and password which we just created. So I am logging out and here I am again entering that username and password which I have just created. Here you can click onto this keep me signed in also and click onto this sign in. So whenever you visit this localhost :8080, you will have to enter this username and password which you just created. And once you click onto this sign in, you would be able to see this welcome page. Now we will create a Jenkins job to integrate Jenkins with local Playwright project. But before creating the Jenkins job, let me give you the overlook of the project which we are going to integrate with Jenkins. Here into VS Code, I have already created a new project with the name Jenkins Practice. And inside this project, I have created two test script files inside the tests folder with the name Jenkins Practice1.spec.ts and Jenkins Practice2.spec.ts. And inside these files, I have imported the test and expect from Playwright test module and created these three test blocks into first file with the title practice test 1, practice test 2 and practice test 3. And the second argument is the anonymous function which will receive the page fixture. And inside the anonymous function, I'm just first simply console logging starting practice test 1. Then I'm opening this google.com link. After that, I'm console logging the page title. Then I've put the assertion to check the title of the page as Google. And then I'm simply putting a console log as ending practice test 1. And the same code I've put in all the three tests of first file. And into second test script file also, I've done the same thing where I've imported the test and expect from Playwright test module. I've created three test blocks with the title practice test 4, 5 and 6. And inside the anonymous function of these test blocks, I've again put the same code where I'm console logging the starting practice test 4, 5 and 6. Then I'm opening this google.com, then console logging title of this google.com page. Then I've put the assertion to verify the title as Google, and at the end I've put the console log as ending practice test and 4, 5 and 6. Only difference is that I'm purposefully failing this fifth test where I've put the assertion to validate the wrong title. So here I'm verifying that page title should be Google wrong, and purposefully this test I'm failing. And here inside this project we have this playwright.config.ts file. I have not made any changes inside this file. This file got created while installing the Playwright. About installation of Playwright, I have already discussed into one of my previous video. If you have not watched that video, I will provide link of that video into the description, or you can click onto this I button at top right corner to access that video. So here we have this define config and its argument is an object, and inside this object we have different key value pairs. So we have this test dir which is set to tests, which means that all the test scripts will get executed which are there inside this tests folder while execution. Then we have this fully parallel as true, which will be used for parallel execution. This forbid only will fail the build on CI if we accidentally left this test.only in any of our test script files. Here we have kept retries as 2 in case of CI, and for local it would be 0. Let me change it to 1. Here workers also we have set 1 in case of CI, and for local we have not defined any workers. Reporter is by default appearing as HTML. Then we have this use key and its value is an object where this trace option is there, and on first retry we will get trace. Let me change this value also. So I am setting it as retain on failure so that in case of failure, we would be able to get these traces. You can keep any desired option which is preferred by you. Here we can also configure screenshot and video. So here to configure the screenshot, you can simply give the key as a screenshot and then you can provide its value as on, off or only on failure. So like this, you can select any value, comma, and then we can also configure video. So video is the key, colon, and its value we can keep as on, off on first retry, retain on failure, and retry with video. So any option you can select. And then apart from this use, we have this projects key and its value is an array of objects where each object is configuration for different browsers. So here by default, we are getting this Chromium, Firefox and WebKit browser configured, and you can configure different browsers. Here for now, I will just keep Chromium and Firefox for the execution purpose. So about this playwright.config.ts file also, I have discussed in much details into one of my video. If you have not watched that video, I will provide link of that video into the description, or you can click onto this I button at top right corner to access that video. And now, as we are ready with our test script files and with our playwright.config.ts file, let's execute our test script files locally. So for that, click onto this terminal and then new terminal. Here, I will provide the command which is npx playwright test. And once I hit enter, it will execute all the test script files which are there inside this tests folder. So in total, we have 6 tests which will get executed, 3 from first file and 3 from second file. And these 6 tests will get executed on both the browsers because we have configured this Chromium and Firefox into our playwright.config.ts file. And here execution got completed. We are able to see this HTML report got generated where the execution details are appearing. So here I've opened one failure test which got executed onto the Firefox where we are able to see the error, steps, screenshots, trace, video and log details. And into the VS Code also, we are able to see all the details here, that which test got executed, which got failed, right? So all those details we are able to see here into the terminal also. Now let's configure this local Playwright project with Jenkins. So for that, open your browser. Let me close this report and also this terminal. And here, once you will visit this localhost 8080 and once you will log in, you would be able to see these options. Onto Jenkins page, to create the new Jenkins job, you need to click onto this new item. Onto the welcome page, you would also be able to see this create a job option and both options are same. For now, I'm clicking onto this new item where it will ask for an item name. So here you can give any meaningful name as per your project. For now, I'm giving the name as practice Jenkins Playwright integration. And then it will ask for the item type where we need to select this freestyle project, which is classic general purpose job type. So click on it and then click on OK. And once you click onto the OK button, you would be able to see this page where inside this general section, we have this description text box where we can provide description of our Jenkins job. If you want, you can leave this particular field blank also. For now, I am giving description as to practice integration of Jenkins with local Playwright project. And then we need to scroll down. And here we have this source code management section. For now, we are going to keep it as none. But later, once we will configure Jenkins with our Playwright Git repository, in that case, we would be selecting this Git option. For now, as we are configuring the local Playwright project with Jenkins, so we need to keep it as none. So source code management would be none here. And then we have this build triggers option. And this option is to decide that when you want to trigger your build. In simple word, it will decide that when your test suite execution will get started. For now, I am leaving all these options unchecked because we would be triggering the build manually first. Later, I will tell you about this build periodically option also. And once we will use this Git, so we would be talking about these options also, which are related to GitHub, which is GitHub hook trigger for Git SEM polling and poll SEM. And here we need to scroll down and come to this option, which is build steps, where we would be providing all the steps related to our build. And on the basis of these steps, the test suite execution would be happening. So inside this build steps, you would be able to see this add build step drop down. Click on it, and here you would be able to see different options. As we are using Windows machine, so for that I would be selecting this execute Windows batch command. If you are using Mac OS or Linux, so in that case you would be using this execute shell. So for now I am selecting this execute Windows batch command here, as I'm working onto the Windows machine. And once you select that option, you would be able to see this box with the title execute Windows batch command. And here we have this text area to enter the commands. So what are all the commands which we need to mention here inside this build steps section? As we are integrating Jenkins with our local Playwright project, so first thing which we need to mention, that where is our Playwright project located? And for that you can open this VS Code and click onto this reveal in file explorer, which will open location of your project. So this is our project, right? Jenkins practice. So it is under this E drive. Let me copy this path. And then first we need to go to this particular location. And for that there is command which is cd and then this project folder location. So it is kind of going to this particular location. And before that, as I have put my project into E drive, so before this command, I would be providing E and then colon. So by default, the current drive will be selected as C, and as I have kept my project inside the E drive, so that's why I am putting this E colon here to switch to the E drive. Let me open one blank terminal, so there you would be able to see. So here, as by default, I am onto this C drive. And let's say if I want to switch to E drive, so here I will have to provide this E colon and hit enter. So see, we have come onto this E drive. And here, if you will do this CD and this particular path, so it will go to that particular location, right? So this is our project location. So the same thing we are doing here inside this text area. Now, once we are onto our project location, we need to install all the dependencies. So what are all the dependencies which will get installed? So here, if you will open your project folder, and here we have this package.json and package.lock.json. So these are all the dependencies which is required for our Playwright project. And to install these dependencies, usually once you clone your project, you provide that npm install command to install all the node dependencies which are mentioned into your package.json, and the same thing we would be doing here into the Jenkins. So here either you can give this npm install, or if you are using continuous integration, so in that case, in place of this install, we need to provide this npm ci. If you remember my previous Playwright video related to continuous integration using GitHubs, so there also I've used the same command. Let me open that YAML file where we have configured all the things. So here for the GitHub actions, we have configured all the things inside this playwright.yaml file. But in case of Jenkins, we are doing it here onto the UI. See, to install the dependencies, we have used this command, which is npm ci for the GitHub actions. And the same thing we are doing here into the Jenkins, but onto the UI inside this build steps section. So with this command, all the dependencies will get installed, which are mentioned into package.log.json. And once all the dependencies are installed, we need to provide the next command, which is npx playwright install, which is used to install the Playwright browsers. See, for the GitHub actions also, we have used the same command. And here into the Jenkins also, we need to use the same command, which is npx playwright install -with -deps for dependencies. So let me copy the same command. And to provide this command, we need to again click onto this add build step and then click onto this execute Windows batch command. And here we would be providing that command. Here inside this first text area, if you will provide this command after this npm ci, so once this npm ci execution is done, it will not execute this command. So this executable command you need to provide into different text area. Okay, so that's why we have clicked onto this add build item, and then from here we have selected this execute Windows batch command to enter this particular command. And here also you will have to switch to this location, right? Because this is separate text area. So again, before this command, you need to provide this E:, and then you need to go to your project location. Otherwise, it will take the default C drive location of the Jenkins. So that's why every time we are switching to the E drive, and then we are going to our project location. If you have kept your project onto C drive, so in that case, you will not have to put this E:. Directly, you would be putting this CD and your project location in case if you are using C drive. But apart from C drive, if you have kept your project on any other drive, so in that case, you will have to switch to that particular drive. And once the Playwright browser installation is done, we need to provide the next command to start the execution of our test script files. And for that, we need to give the command which we use to start our execution, which is npx playwright test. And for that, again, click onto this add build step and then select this execute Windows batch command. And here we need to provide this npx playwright test command. But before that, again, we will have to go to our project location. So that's why I am putting this E: to switch to E drive. And then here I am going to our project location. Otherwise, it will take default Jenkins location and hit enter. And after that, we need to give the command which is npx playwright test. So this is plain command. In case, let's say you want to add any other flag while doing execution, so that also you can add. Let's say you want to mention the browser on which you want to do the execution. So in that case, what you would be doing, -- project equals to Chromium, right? So like this, you can provide different flags to do the different configurations. You can mention this grep command to execute the tests with the specific tag. So that's up to you. For now, I will not make it complex. I will just use this npx playwright test command to execute all the test script files which are there inside the tests folder. So the same thing we have done here onto the VS Code, right? Which started the execution and did execution on both the browsers. So we have put all the steps which are required to start our execution and to execute all the test script files which are there inside the tests folder. And why it will execute the files from the tests folder? Because it is configured inside our playwright.config.ts file like this. So all these configurations would be applicable. And on top of that, if you want to do any other configuration, so with the command also, you can change or add different configurations. So this is npx playwright test command, which is plain command I'm using for now. So here we have configured all the options for now, which are required to start the execution. And into this YAML file of GitHub Actions also, we did the same thing. Here into GitHub Actions, we have also configured the HTML report. The same thing in the Jenkins also can be done. That also we will see. For now, we are just doing the plain execution. So once we are done with this build step section by putting all the steps inside it, we can move to the next section, which is post build actions. So after the build is done, what are all the actions which we want to perform that we can configure here. In this section, I will be showing you that how we would be configuring HTML report with our Jenkins job. For now, I am leaving this section blank. Here we can also configure this email notification. So once build execution is done, it will send an email notification. So all those things you can configure inside this post build action. There are so many options which you can explore later. For now, I am leaving this option blank, and then we can apply and save all these configurations. So onto the top, we have given the description. Then we have selected this source code management as none. After that, we have scrolled to this build step section where we have switched to our project location, and then we have provided different commands which are required. So first we have given this npm CI to install all the dependencies. Then again, inside separate section, we have added this npx playwright install command to install Playwright browsers. So first we switched to our project location and then we have provided this command. And similarly, to start the execution, first we went to our project location and then we have given this npx playwright test command to start the execution. And as I told, you can configure different options with this npx playwright test. Like you can decide the browser, you can decide the report. So any option which you can perform here locally, the same option you can provide here with our command. And inside this post build actions, we would be seeing that how to configure HTML report. For now, we are leaving it blank and then clicking onto this apply and save. And once you save it, you would be able to see this page. And onto this page, we would be able to see all the options for our job, which we have created with the name, which is Practice Jenkins Playwright Integration. For you, whatever the name which you have given will be appearing here. And here is the title also. And this is the description which I have provided. Let me click onto this dashboard also, which will take us to the main page. And here you would be able to see that your job got created. This is our name which we have given. Here you would be able to see all the details like status, last success, last failure, last duration. From here also you can start the build. For now, I am clicking onto this link, which will again take me back to this jobs page. And now, as we have created one Jenkins job, we have integrated this Jenkins with our local Playwright project. Now, we need to trigger the build, which will start the execution of our test script files. And for that, for now, I will be clicking onto this build now to manually start our execution. So, clicking onto this build now. And once you click onto this build now, you would be able to see this build number and then the progress inside this build tree. You can also click onto this #1, which will show some more details related to this execution. Okay, so this is the username which is appearing here and how much time it spent waiting in the queue. Okay, here you can also click onto this console output where you would be able to see the complete console log. So this execution started by the user. Here your username would be appearing, right? And then whatever the steps which got performed, you would be able to see here. So currently it is building into this workspace, which is at C drive. Okay, and this is our job's name. And after that we switched to E drive, right? So that's why we put this E colon and we came onto this E drive. Here we have given this CD and our project location. And after that we have performed this npm CI, which installed all the dependencies. So that's what which is appearing here. And once this npm CI is done, again we switched to E drive. We went to our project location and here we have given the command, right, which is npx playwright install. So that thing is appearing here and it is installing Playwright browsers. And once the Playwright browser installation is done, it will proceed further with our test execution. See here, it again switched to E drive, right? And then it went to our project location and there it has performed this command, which is npx playwright test, which is executing our all the test script files which were there inside the tests folder. And here you would be able to see all the logs, right? So these are all the console logs which we provided into each of our test block, right? Starting practice test 1, and then we were logging the title of the page, and then we have put this ending practice test 1. So the same thing we are able to see here. And for each test, all those details are appearing. And here, as we have filled this practice test 5 purposefully, so that's why we are able to see these failure details here. So we were expecting this title as Google wrong, right? But our correct title of the page would be Google. So that's why we are able to see this failure. Here, all the retry information is also appearing as we have put retry as 1. And these are all the details related to the attachment which are getting generated. So screenshot, traces, and video, whatever the attachments which you will configure inside your playwright.config.ts file will get generated. So those details are appearing here. Here, as we have configured Firefox also inside our playwright.config.ts file. So that's why execution happened onto Firefox also, and we have got this failure because we were expecting the wrong title. And same, the retry happened for the Firefox browser. All those attachments got generated. So that also we are able to see inside this logs. And here we are able to see 2 failed and 10 passed. And this build is marked as failure because we have 2 test failures. So like this, you can go through the complete log and can see all the details. And the same thing we see here into our terminal also. So that's why I explained you, right? All those details were getting generated inside the terminal, and the same thing we are able to see here onto the Jenkins. And like this, you can put n number of tests here inside this tests folder, which will get executed. You can change any configuration, which will get considered while execution. So let's say into the next execution, we just want to execute our test scripts onto Chrome driver. So in that case, you can comment out this Firefox part, or you can remove this part, right? You can make any changes into your playwright.config.ts file, and that would be applicable for your Jenkins build execution. Our first build got failed, so that's why we are able to see this cross in front of it, and here also we are seeing this failed icon, right? If you again want to open this console log, either you can click onto this drop down and click onto this console output, which will show you this console output, or here you can go to this link and then you can click onto this console output. And here in this case, we manually triggered the build, right? By clicking onto this build now. And here inside this section, you would be able to see links related to last build, last failed build, last unsuccessful build, and last complete build. You can explore these options to get more details. And here I'm clicking onto this dashboard just to show you that how your dashboard will look for your jobs. So here you would be able to see your job name and other related details for your jobs. Here we are able to see the status related to our last execution. So our last execution got failed. That's why this cross is appearing here. And we would be able to see the last success, last failure, and last duration details here. From here also, we can start our execution. So once I click onto this arrow, it will again start execution. See, here we are able to see the job name. Once you will click here inside this build history, it will show me the second build which got started. So manually we triggered this second build also. So for now, we are manually triggering our builds to start the execution of our test suite. But consider one scenario where you are working into real-time projects, and there you want to start the execution daily at 3 AM. But this is not your office timing, right? So how you will start the execution? And for that, we would be triggering the build automatically. So in this case, we will provide some options which will trigger your build at 3 AM daily. So this is just the requirement, right? From the client that they want to start the execution at 3 AM. So that's why I've given the example of 3 AM. You can configure your build for any time. Or let's say if you want to start your execution at alternate days, that also you can configure. So there are many more options which you can configure to start your build automatically. So let me show those options also. And for that, you need to come to this page, right? You need to open your job. From dashboard also, you can open your job. Here onto your job, you would be able to see this configure, which will take us to the configuration page, which we were able to see initially. And here, as I told you, we have this build triggers option. And once you will come to this section, there are different options which you can configure. For now, as we want to start our build automatically at the specific time, so for that, we have this build periodically option. You can click onto this checkbox and it will show you this text area where you can provide options that when you want to trigger your build. Triggering the build means starting the execution, right? We will execute our job. And here to get the more details, you can click onto this question mark in front of this schedule, which will show you different options which you can configure here. And here inside this schedule text area, we can provide the details which consists of 5 fields. And those 5 fields are minute, right? So it is minutes within the hour. Then we have this hour, the hour of the day. And the third is DOM, which is the day of the month. Fourth field is month. And the fifth field is the day of the week, where 0 and 7 are Sunday. So these are different fields which you can provide, but mostly in your case, you are going to use this hour and the minute, because we want to either do the daily execution or we want to do execution at certain interval. And here this star we can provide, which specifies all the valid values. So let's say I want to start my execution at 3 a.m. daily. So 3 a.m. or let's say it is 3:15 on which I want to start the execution. So here minute I will provide as 50, and then we have hour, right? So at 3 a.m. we want to start the execution. So here I am providing this 3, and then for this day of month I am providing star, right? It specifies all the valid values, right? So for all the days of month, for each date we want to do the execution. For each month, from January to December we want to do the execution. So again putting the star. And on each day of the week we want to do the execution. So again I'm putting star here. So basically here we are saying that on each day of week, which is this star, on each month, which is second star, right? From right to left I'm going. And on each day at 3:15 at 3:15 a.m. I want to do the execution, right? So accordingly you can change the time, right? If you want to do the execution at 10 a.m. in the morning, so you can change it to 10, or you want to do the execution at 2 p.m. so you can change it to 14, right? 24-hour clock you can consider, and accordingly you can provide these values. So here for now I'm giving this 3. And here if you want to get more details about this configuration, and if you want to do any specific configuration, just go through this particular section. You would be able to see that what are all the different options which you can configure to provide this built periodically details. But mostly there would be the case that you want to do the execution daily at a certain time, so that you can configure. See here, as we have configured this thing, so it is showing me that when your last execution would have happened and when your next execution would be happening. Or there may be one more case where you want to do the execution on the alternate days, right? So in that case, you can change this DOM to star by 2. So it will consider alternate values. Here you can see the same details. They have kept star by 3. So on each third day, it will do the execution. So accordingly, you can go through all these options, all these details, and if you want to do any specific configuration, that you can do. So here you would be able to see that, let's say if your last execution happened onto September 21 at 3:15, so the next run would be happening on Monday on September 23, right? Because onto the 22 there would not be any execution because we have configured this alternate day of month option. For now, we are keeping it simple to do the execution daily onto 3 a.m. So that's why I'm putting this 15:3 and the 3 star. And then you can apply and save it. So daily at 3 a.m. your execution will get started. You will not have to trigger it manually. And if you want to again make any changes, so again you can click onto this configure, and here again you can make any of the change onto this page. Now, as we have seen how to create a Jenkins job, how to configure the specific Jenkins job, to integrate the Jenkins with local Playwright project, how to trigger the build manually, how to trigger build automatically at the specific time. Now we need to configure HTML report with our Jenkins job. So till now, whatever build execution which we were doing, we were not able to see any HTML report. If we wanted to see specific execution related details, we were opening console output for the specific run. Like this, we were going to the console output, and there we were able to see all the execution related details. But it's better to have a proper HTML report which we can use to analyze our execution details. To generate HTML report, we need to follow certain steps. And for that, we need to open our job for which we want to configure HTML report. Onto the dashboard, you would be able to see all the list of jobs which are there in your Jenkins. Right? You can create multiple jobs like we created this one. So for us, only one job is appearing here. You can open this job from here, and here you would be able to see this configure option that you can open. To configure HTML report, we need to go to this post build actions section. You can directly click here onto this option, or you can scroll to the bottom to come to this section. And here we would be configuring our HTML report. And for that, you can click here onto this add post build action, where you should be able to see the option to configure HTML report. But here, once you will click, you would not be seeing any option. See here, there is no option which is related to the HTML report. And why we are not able to see HTML report related configuration here? Because we have not installed any plugin related to the HTML report. And to install HTML report plugin, we need to go out of this job section. So here you can directly click onto this dashboard, and here we need to click onto this manage Jenkins, and here you would be able to see this plugins option. You can click onto this card, and then you need to click onto this available plugins, and here you can search for the HTML, and onto top you would be able to see this HTML publisher. So this is the plugin which we need to install. You can click onto this checkbox, and then you can click onto install. And once you will click onto install, this particular plugin should get installed. So here we are able to see the success for our HTML publisher plugin. And once this HTML publisher plugin is successfully installed, we can start using this plugin. And for that, you can click onto this go back to top page, which will take us to this dashboard page. Here we can again open our Jenkins job for which we want to configure the HTML report, and then click onto this configure, click onto this post build actions. And once you click onto this add post build action, you should be able to see HTML report configuration related option. So click onto this add post build action, and here we are able to see this publish HTML reports. So you can select this option, and once you select this option, here you can click onto this add under this reports. And here we will have to add details to configure our HTML report with this Jenkins job. Here first we need to provide the value for this HTML directory to archive. And as we are integrating local Playwright project with Jenkins, so here we will have to provide complete path of Playwright HTML report. And to get this complete path, you can open this VS Code, and here as we know that default folder in which our HTML report will get generated is this Playwright-report. So this is the complete path which we are able to see on mouse hovering onto this report folder. And to get this path, you can right click here, and then you can click onto this copy path, which will give you the complete path. You can come back here, and here you can simply paste that path. You can also write this path manually rather than doing copy pasting. Only thing is that this is the default folder where your HTML report will get generated. So that's why we have taken this path. So locally also, once we do our execution right onto this path, we would be able to see this HTML report. So same path we are providing here. And after that, there is one field which is index page. Here we need to provide the index page of our HTML report. And here inside this Playwright-report folder, we have this index.html through which we can open our HTML report. So this index.html is already pre-filled here. We need not to change anything. After that, we have this report title option, which is already appearing filled, right? So here HTML report is appearing. You can change this name and you can keep any name of your choice. Let me add Playwright here. So you can put any XYZ name here, and this would be title of our HTML report. And these three options are required mainly to configure HTML report with our Jenkins job. And here, one more option about which you should be aware. And for that, you can click onto this publishing options. And here we have this option, keep past HTML reports. So by default, this option is not checked. And here, once build execution is done, we would only be able to see the recent HTML report. But if this option is checked, we should be able to see the past HTML reports also. Let me click onto this question mark. Here, see, if checked, archive reports for all the successful builds, otherwise only the most recent. So it's up to you if you just want to keep the most recent report, so you can uncheck it. For now, I'm keeping this option selected. And then you can click onto this apply and save. And now we can click onto this build now to start the build execution. And once execution is done, we should be able to see the HTML report for the specific build. So here I'm clicking onto this build now. And once you click here, so after 2 or 3 seconds, you should be able to see this build execution will get started. Here the number 7 is appearing because in between I have deleted some of the builds also. To delete any build, you can mouse over onto a specific build and then you can click onto this arrow, and from here you can select this delete build option. Just for knowledge purpose, I am showing this option to delete the build. And here our build execution got completed. And to see the HTML report, we can go to a specific build. So here, to go to a specific build, click onto this link. And for this specific build, which we just executed, we should be able to see this Playwright HTML report option. And here we are able to see this Playwright HTML report option inside this build because we have checked that option to keep HTML report for each build, right? Here inside the configuration, if you will see, we have selected this keep past HTML reports. So that's why for each build, we are going to see this HTML report. But if you will not keep this option selected, so for now, I am unchecking this option, saving it. And now if I will do the execution, for that, click down to this build now. And once this build execution is done, we should be able to see the HTML report directly onto this page. We will not have to go inside the specific build. Now execution got completed. And here, once you will refresh the page, you should be able to see this Playwright HTML report directly inside the jobs page. So as we have unchecked the option to keep the past HTML report, so that's why this option is appearing directly onto this jobs page and not inside the specific build. See, inside this build, we are not able to see that HTML report option. So it's up to you which option you prefer. If you just want to keep the recent report, you can uncheck that option. For now, I am again checking that option so that our HTML report will be there for each build. So keeping this option selected, saving it. Again, I am doing the execution. And once the execution is done, so this time, as we have checked the option to keep the past HTML report, so we would be able to see the HTML report inside the specific build also. See, this Playwright HTML report option is appearing. You can click onto this option to see the HTML report. Let me click onto this option. Let's see this report is appearing there or not. So I'm clicking here. And once you click here, you would be able to see this blank page. We are just seeing this index, but here we are not able to see any HTML report. And here this zip option is appearing. You can click onto this zip option. See, our HTML report got downloaded, but we are not able to see anything here onto this page. Let me open this zip file which got downloaded and open this folder. Here, this index.html is appearing. And once you will open here, you would be able to see the HTML report. But why we are not able to see any HTML report here, right? After downloading only, we are able to see that report. And here, if you want to see the HTML report directly onto opening this option, so for that, you will have to do one configuration. And to do that configuration, go back to the main page. For that, click onto this dashboard. And here, click onto this Manage Jenkins. Then scroll down and you should be able to see the option to script console. Click here, and here you need to run one command. Let me show that command to you. So this is the command which you need to run from this console, which is system.setProperty Hudson.model.directorybrowsersupport.csp : and then blank string we need to pass. So this command we need to provide here inside this text area, and this particular script is used to disable Jenkins content security policy, allowing custom scripts or resources to bypass security restrictions. So by default, this content security policy, or short form is CSP, is too restrictive, and because of that we are not able to see any report directly onto clicking onto that HTML report option. And once you run this particular script, it will disable Jenkins content security policy. So just simply click onto the run. Here we should be able to see the result. Again, I am clicking onto the run. See, like this, you should be able to see this result : if onto the first go you are not able to see this result : again you can click onto the run and you should be able to see this result : and once this particular configuration is done, where we have disabled Jenkins content security policy, again you can go to your job. So for that, click onto the dashboard, open your job, and again I am clicking onto this build now. And once the execution is done, you can open the specific HTML report. So I'm going to this build, clicking onto this Playwright HTML report. And once I click here, so directly on clicking inside this index, you should be able to see the HTML report. From here, you can analyze your execution details. So for me, this particular test got failed. So click here, you should be able to see all the errors that why this test got failed. Here we are able to see this expected string was Google wrong, but we received Google because we purposefully failed this particular test. Here you can see all the test steps as we have configured screenshot. So that also we are able to see for the failure. And here we can also see this traces. And once you click here, directly it will open the Playwright trace also for your execution. Here you can see all the options related to the trace. So about this trace and HTML report, we have already discussed in much detail in the previous videos of this playlist. If you have not watched those videos related to the HTML report and the Playwright trace, you can watch those videos. I will provide link of those videos into the description, or you can click onto this I button at top right corner to access those videos. Again, I'm clicking onto this index, which will take me to the main page. If you want to download the HTML report, you can directly click onto this zip, which will give you the zip file, which we previously also downloaded. So it's up to you. But here, if you will integrate it directly with the Jenkins, so you will not have to run the HTML report after downloading it directly. With this localhost 8080 only, we should be able to see the HTML report. Otherwise, usually to run the HTML report, we give the command, right? npx playwright show-report, then only it will get hosted. Let me show that option to you also. So let's say you have downloaded the HTML report, right? So this is the HTML report. And here, if you will click directly onto this index.html, and if you will go to your failure, and if you will click onto this trace, it will not get directly opened. And in that case, you will have to run the report by using the command, which is npx playwright show-report. So first, you will have to extract this report. So I'm extracting this report. And once you extract this report, here you can open the CMD, because inside this folder, your report is there. So onto the parent folder, I will open CMD. And here you will have to provide this npx playwright show-report. If you want to see the complete report with also traces are opening on just clicking it, we will have to open it like this, npx playwright show-report. And as this is not the default folder name, so we will have to provide this name also. So let me take this name. And here inside the CMD, after this npx playwright show-report, provide this name and hit enter. And once you hit enter and select yes to proceed further, your report will get hosted. See, onto this port 9323, your report got hosted. And here, in this case, if you click onto the failure, you should be able to see the screenshot, as well as if you click onto this trace, the trace will automatically get opened onto this localhost 9323, or any port number can appear for you. So in Jenkins, we have this option where we will not have to download and again host the report. Directly it is getting hosted onto this localhost 8080. So that's what I wanted to show you, right? You'll not have to download it and then again extract it. And after extraction, you'll have to host it by using the command npx playwright show-report. And as this is new folder name, so you'll have to provide the folder name also. So this is how we were able to configure HTML report with our Jenkins job. And then we were able to open that HTML report directly onto this localhost 8080. Let me close these reports tab. So till now, we have seen that how to install Jenkins, how to do the setup of Jenkins, how to create a new job in the Jenkins, how to configure your local Playwright project with the specific Jenkins job, and how to do the build execution manually or automatically at the specified duration, and how to configure the HTML report with your Jenkins job. So we are almost done. Only one thing I want to add here. So whatever the job which we have configured, so till now we have directly provided this npx playwright test command inside this job. So let me open this configuration. From here also directly you can click onto this arrow and click onto this configuration to open this configuration. And here we have given this command which is npx playwright test. But previously, as I also told you, you can also provide the flags here, right? Like -- headed to start the execution into the headed mode. Or if you want to do the execution onto the specific browser, so you can provide that -- project equals to Chromium or equals to Firefox. So all those options you can provide either directly here. But again, if you want to change any option, let's say you want to do the execution onto the Firefox. So again, you'll have to come to this command and then you'll have to change this -- project option to Firefox only, like this. Or if you want to do the execution onto the Chrome, again, you'll have to open the configuration and then you'll have to change it to Chrome. Then only the execution would be happening onto the Chrome. But this is not feasible way, right? Again and again, we should not change these commands, right? And for that, there is one option in Jenkins where we can provide parameters, and on the basis of those parameters, your execution would be happening. So let me show that option to you. And with those parameters, you can configure any of the command line options. Let me open this Playwright document. There you can search for this command line. Click here. And here you would be able to see all the different command line options which you can configure. Some of them we have already seen, like this --grep also we have used previously to run the tests with the specific tag. This --headed is used to run test in headed browser. So there are so many command line options which you can configure directly here or with the parameters. So let me show that to you how you can create parameters. And to configure parameter, you can go to the specific job and then you can come to the configuration, right? We are already onto the configuration. So here, once you will go to this general section, there you should be able to see this option, which is this project is parameterized. So here you can click onto this checkbox and then you should be able to see this add parameter dropdown. Click here and you would be seeing the multiple options that which type of parameter you want to add. So any option you can select. For now, I would be giving example of this choice parameter. So here I am clicking onto this choice parameter. You can provide name of the parameter. Let's say I want to configure different browsers through these parameters. So I will provide this browser here. And here you can provide different choices of your browser. And here you can configure any browser you want to do the execution. Let's say I want to do the execution onto Chrome browser. So for that, I will provide Chromium here. Here we can also configure Firefox, WebKit. So like this, you can configure multiple browser which you want to show as the choice for the user to select. Here, if you want to add any description, that you can add so that user will get to know details about this browser parameter. So here I will provide description like this select option to start execution onto a specific browser. Any description you can give, and these browser related choice you need to provide as per your configuration into your playwright.config.ts file. So currently our Chromium browser is only configured, but as we want to use this Firefox or WebKit, so let me enable these options also. Here inside this playwright.config.ts file, so inside this projects, previously we have just configured Chromium. We have commented out these two browsers, but again, as we want to provide it as the option to select so that execution can happen onto these browsers also. So that's why I'm adding these options here. And the same name, you will have to enter whatever the name which are there inside the playwright.config.ts file. So here the project name is Chromium. So that's why we have provided Chromium here. Here the name is Firefox and the WebKit. So the same name we have provided after hitting enter. So Chromium, then hit enter, provide Firefox, then hit enter, provide WebKit. So like this, you can provide multiple options which are configured inside your playwright.config.ts file. So now our choice parameter is added. Now we will also have to add this option with our command. So our parameter name is browser. So now you come back to this build step section where you have given the command which is npx playwright test, and here you can provide this -- project equals to, and as I told, if you want to hard code these values, let's say if you want to do the execution onto Chromium, that also you can do. But again, once if you want to do the execution onto Firefox, then you'll have to come back here and then you'll have to change this option to Firefox. Then you will save it, again you will trigger the build. So to avoid that hard coding, we have added this parameter here inside this general section. And now we are going to use this parameter. And to use this parameter inside this build step, you need to provide this percentage and then this parameter name. So browser is the parameter name which we have kept there. So I'm providing same name here and then provide percentage. So between the percentage, you need to provide the parameter name which you have provided here, right? Under this general section, we have first checked this project is parameterized, and then we have provided the name, all the choices for this choice parameter and the description. And then we have provided this name. So whatever name you want to give, browser 123 XYZ, any name you can give, but it should be meaningful, because here we want to select the browser on which we want to do the execution. So that's why I've given the name like this. And the same name browser we have provided under this build steps, where we have given the command which is npx playwright test -- project equals to, and then between the percentage we have provided that parameter name. And now you can save it. And once you save it here for the specific job, you would be able to see this build with parameters options. So till now we were only able to see this build now, but now as we have configured parameter, so that's why we are able to see this build with parameters options. And once you click here, so directly your execution will not get started. First, it will ask to select this parameter option. So here it is showing this build requires parameters. This is the parameter name which we have provided. This is the description which we have given. So any description also you can give of your choice. For now, I have given select option to start execution onto the specific browser. And here, as it is the choice parameter, so you would be able to see this drop down. And from here, you can select any of the option. Let me select it as the WebKit. And now once I will click onto this build, it will start the execution. See, the execution got started. You can open the console output also. So inside this console output, if you will scroll down, you would be able to see this npx playwright test command is there. And here we have provided this flag, which is -- project equals to, and then we provided percentage browser percentage, and on that place, whatever the option which we selected, right? By selecting the parameter, we selected WebKit. So that's what is appearing here. So that percentage browser percentage got replaced with the option which we have selected. And now the execution happened onto the WebKit browser. Here you can see all the console logs. If you want to see the HTML report, you can go to the specific build, as we have configured the HTML report that we want to keep the past report. So that's why we are able to see this Playwright HTML report inside the build. You can open it, click here, you should be able to see all the details. So this time execution happened onto the WebKit. So that's why we are able to see this project as WebKit. So it's up to you that how you want to configure your jobs. Let's say you want to do the execution on all the browsers. So in that case, no need to add this parameter related to the browser, right? simply you will give the command inside this build step, which is npx playwright test. You will not be adding this option, and whatever the browsers which would be configured here will get executed. So if all these 3 browsers are configured and we are not providing any of this flag, the execution will happen on all the browsers. But if you want to do the execution onto the specific browser, so like this, you can configure it with the help of parameter. So like this, you can configure multiple parameters also. And let's say you want to configure second parameter. So here, again, you can click onto this add parameter. You can select the type of parameter. So mostly we would be using this choice parameter. But in any case, let's say there is some true or false value which you need to pass. So in that case, you can select this Boolean parameter. You can explore these parameters. Again, I'm clicking onto this choice parameter. And let's say we want to configure the specific tag, right? So here we can give the name as tag name, any name you can give. Here you can provide the tag for which you want to do the execution. About the tags also we have already discussed into the series. You can watch that video. I will provide link of that video into the description, or you can click onto this I button at top right corner to access that video. For now, I'm just showing it to you that how you can configure the second parameter. So UAT, SIT, dev, any tag for which you want to do the execution. If you want to provide the description, you can provide. And then here with the command also, you will have to configure that where you want to use that particular parameter. Let's say we want to use those choices to configure the tags. So to configure the tags, you need to use this -- grep and then the tag name for which you want to do the execution. So equals to, and then again, you will have to provide this percentage and then the parameter name. So parameter name is tag name, right? You can copy the same name, any name you can keep here, go to your build step, and then between the percentage, you will have to provide that name. So percentage, tag name, percentage, and then you can save it. For now, we have not configured any specific tag into any of our tests. Just for your understanding, I am showing it to you that how you can configure multiple parameters also with our Jenkins job. So once you are there inside this jobs page, you can click onto this build parameter, and this time we are able to see 2 options to select 2 different parameters. From here, we can select the specific browser. So let's say we want to do the execution onto Firefox, and here you can select the specific tag name, and related to that particular tag, your execution will be happening. Let's say you select dev here, and if you have provided any tag for the specific test, let's say for this third test, you have provided that dev tag. So for this test only, the execution would be happening onto the Firefox. And then you can click onto the build. And once the execution is done, see, this time we are able to see this passed. Why? Because we have added the tag for this third test only, and this test should get passed, right? Purposefully, we were just failing this 5th test, but we have added this dev tag with the 3rd test only, and we have done the execution for the dev tag only. So that's why we are able to see this passed here, right? Let me open this console output here. See, the execution happened with this command, npx playwright test -- project equals to Firefox, because I have selected Firefox from the choice, and then I have selected dev as the tag name. So that's why -- grep equals to dev is appearing here. And only 1 test got executed for which there was a dev tag. So for this 3rd test, I just added this dev tag. So that's why execution happened for that particular test. And you can also open the HTML report for the specific build and see only 1 test got executed. And this is the dev tag, right? The title also is appearing with the tag name. You can open this also. And here you can see all the details. So like this, you can add different parameters for your specific job. If you don't want to configure any parameter, so in that case, you can uncheck this particular option. And once you uncheck it, you would be able to see this build now option here. So like this, you can create multiple jobs, and for a specific job, if you want to configure the parameter, that you can do. For now, I will keep this option as unchecked only, as I don't want to provide any parameter. And also I will remove these options because I want to execute all of my tests. So it's up to you how you want to configure your Jenkins job. Here also we are seeing this Playwright HTML report option, which will take you directly to the recent run. But for the specific build, it's better to open that build, and from there you can open this HTML report. Now there is one more point to add. So while installing Jenkins, previously I told you that if you don't want to use this MSI file to install the Jenkins, and if you want to use this war file for your Jenkins, that also you can do. And for that, you'll have to simply click here to download this war file. And once this file is downloaded, you need to execute this war file. And how you can do that? So for that, you need to open the CMD for the specified directory where your war file is there. So for now, we have kept it inside this downloads only. So here only I will open CMD, and onto this CMD, we need to provide one command to execute this war file. And for that, we have this command, which is java-jar, and then you need to provide this war file name. So jenkins.war is our war file name. You need not to add this path because we have already opened CMD onto this particular path. And this particular flag is optional. Let's say you want to open your Jenkins onto separate port so that you can configure. By default, it will take 8080 as the default port. But here I will enable this option because our 8080 port is already in use with this installation which we have done, right? We have installed it through the MSI file and then we have configured it onto the 8080. But here, as we want to configure this war file, so we will use the different port. And then go to the CMD, and here you can provide that command, which is java-jar, and then the war file name, which is jenkins.war. And here to configure the different port, you need to provide the flag, which is --, HTTP port equals to, and then you can provide the port on which you want to configure this Jenkins. If you have not used this MSI installation and not configured Jenkins onto 8080, you need not to configure the different port. Automatically it will pick the 8080, right? But here, if we will directly use this java-jar jenkins.war, it will try to take that 8080 port. But you would be able to see the error that it failed to bind this 8080 port. And why so? Because this particular port is already in use. So that's why we are giving that HTTP port flag. And here, let's again provide that command, which is java-jar, and then the file name, which is jenkins.war space -- HTTP, and then capital PORT equals to, and then we can provide any port number. As this 8080 is already in use, so I will give 8081 as the port number. Any port number you can give, and just hit enter. And once you hit enter, you would be able to see this process. And here it is showing that this is the initial password also, which we will have to use to configure Jenkins, right? Previously also we have used this password from this file, which is initial password file. And see, at the end, we are able to see this Jenkins is fully up and running. And now we can access Jenkins onto which port? Onto this port, 8081. So let me open this localhost 8081. So this localhost 8080 is configured with the Jenkins which we have installed, right? Through this MSI file. You just need to use any one of the option. I'm just showing you both the options so that you are aware. So here into the browser, provide this localhost 8081 this time. Hit enter. And now again, you would be able to see this getting started page. You will have to configure all the things which we have previously done once we installed Jenkins through this MSI file. You will have to provide that secret password. You will continue, and then you will configure Jenkins in the same way. After that, the process is exactly same. Only difference which was there was related to the installation. So we did the installation through the MSI. There we were able to see the setup wizard. But here, if you want to use the war file, so you will have to just open the CMD at the specific location. And then you can provide the command, which is java-jar jenkins.war. This is the file name of that war file. And then you can configure the different port. Or if this 8080 is not in use, you need not to provide this flag. It will automatically take that 8080. But with the war file, there is one issue that next time, let's say, again, you want to use the Jenkins. So again, you will have to execute this command, which is java-jar jenkins.war. And then you will hit enter. And once this Jenkins is up and running, then only you would be able to use it. And you'll have to keep the CMD also open. Otherwise, it will stop this execution. But if we do this Windows installation, so in that case, we'll not have to every time start this Jenkins server, right? Automatically, you would be able to access it through the local host. So it's up to you that which option you want to choose. I will provide these two details also into the document. So if it is required, you can use it. So this first command is for configuring the HTML report. So if you run this particular script inside the script console, you would be able to see the HTML report directly onto the localhost 8080, right? Here I will add the text to configure HTML report, right? And this command is for executing this jenkins.war file to start Jenkins server with war file. Just added this information for your reference. And that's it for this particular video. Let me give you the quick recap. So here we saw that we can use Jenkins for continuous integration for our Playwright project. And Jenkins can be integrated with Playwright with two ways. One is without using pipeline and second one is by using pipeline. And in this video, we discussed this without using pipeline. And inside this without using pipeline part, there are two different sections. One is that we can configure Jenkins with our local Playwright project. And the second one is we can configure Jenkins with our Playwright Git repository. And in this video, we focused onto configuring Jenkins with local Playwright project. Here we saw that we will have to install NodeJS, Java, and Jenkins. You can install Jenkins either by using this Windows MSI file, or you can also use Jenkins with this war file. And you can open your Jenkins onto this localhost 8080. First time, once you configure Jenkins, you will have to enter the secret password, and then you will have to configure the username password also. And from the next time, once you open this localhost 8080, you would be able to see this sign in option. Here you can provide this username and password which you have configured. And once you open it, you should be able to see this dashboard page. Here we saw that you can create the new job by clicking onto this new item. Here you can provide the name. You can select this item type as freestyle project, which will open the configuration related to your job, right? This is the job which we have created, and here we have configured different options where we have provided the description. From here we saw that we can also provide the parameters if you want to configure the parameters. For now, as we were configuring local Playwright project with Jenkins, so that's why we selected none. In the upcoming video, we would also be seeing this Git option selected so that we would be able to configure Jenkins with our Playwright Git repository. Here we saw that we can manually start the execution by clicking onto the build now. And if we want to do periodic execution, so in real-time project, that would be the scenario that you want to do the execution at the specific time onto daily basis or at the specific interval. So that's what you can provide here by selecting this build periodically option. You can click onto this schedule question mark to see all the options which you can provide here. For now, we have provided the simple option where we wanted to do the execution daily at 3:15 AM. So you can explore all these options which you can configure accordingly. And then we saw that we will have to provide build steps. And for that, first you will have to go to the location where your Playwright project is there. For me, it was onto the E drive. So that's why we provided this E colon here. For you, if it is already onto the C drive, no need to provide this E colon. You will have to just provide CD and then that project folder location. And after that, we have provided the command npm-ci to do all the dependency installation. Then again, we have added one more build step where we have provided the command to install all the Playwright browser. And here we have again added one more build step, right? From here, you can select multiple build step. And as we are using Windows machine, so that's why we have selected this execute Windows batch command. But for you, if you are using Ubuntu or the macOS, in that case, you can select this execute shell. And at the end, we have provided this npx playwright test to start the execution once we trigger our build. Here we also saw that if you are providing any of the parameter, so in that case, you will have to provide that parameter between percentages. So for an example, we configured this project, so --- project, and then after equals to, we wanted to provide the browser name through the parameter. So we have selected this percentage, and in between the percentage, we have provided that parameter name which we want to configure. Like previously, we configured browser. So like this, you can select this option. For now, let me remove it. And here we also saw that we can configure Playwright report. And for that, first you will have to install HTML Publisher plugin. And once you install that plugin, you would be able to see that option of publish HTML reports here inside this post build actions, where you'll have to provide path of the Playwright HTML report folder inside this HTML directory to archive. Here we have kept this index.html, which was appearing by default. And here you can configure this report title. Any title name you can give XYZ, ABC, or the specific name, right? It should be meaningful. So here I have given Playwright HTML report. So these were all the configurations which we have done. And accordingly, you can change any of the configuration as per your requirement. There are so many configurations which you can explore directly by searching them onto the Google or onto the ChatGPT. Also, you can search about these options. And once your configuration is done, you can start your execution by clicking onto this build now. And if you have configured any of the parameter, you would be able to see that build with parameter option, where you can select the specific parameter choice and then you can start the build. And once your execution will be done, you would be able to see that build tree for your each execution. From here, you can open the build, you can open the console output also, where you would be able to see all the execution details. And here, as we have configured the HTML report, so that's why we are able to see this Playwright HTML report. And this Playwright HTML report is appearing here because we have given the report title as Playwright HTML report. So any name which you will give here would be appearing on this place. And it's up to you how you want to configure HTML report. As we saw that we have enabled this keep past HTML reports. So that's why for each build, we would be able to see the HTML report. But if you don't want to configure it and you just want the latest HTML report, so you can uncheck this option. And that's it from my end. You can click onto this first card to go to the next video. You can click onto the second card to access the whole Playwright tutorial playlist. And stay tuned for my upcoming videos. If you have any comments, questions or doubts, you can let me know into the comment section below. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. Have a great day.